One of this year's most anticipated films is Roman Polanski's The Ghost, based on the best-selling thriller by Robert Harris. It's a fictional but controversial account of a former Prime Minister, played by Pierce Brosnan, with Tony Blair-style charisma. Brosnan's character, Adam Lang, has taken the UK into an unpopular and foreign war and now faces a war crimes tribunal. Ewan Mcgregor plays the ghostwriter who's been hired to come to Adam Lang's retreat on the east coast of America and help the besieged ex-leader complete his highly lucrative memoirs. But when I talked to Ewan Mcgregor, we started by discussing his nameless character, the Ghost. You play a ghostwriter who, in a way, I suppose, is meant to be the common man, the ordinary person stumbling into this strange world of politics and media manipulation.
Yeah. The thing I just kept coming back to all the time was he seemed to be totally unimpressed by everything.
It's a cheeky character, in a way.
Yeah, it's quite cheeky, yeah. He doesn't really take... He talks about not liking politics and not being interested in politicians, which is also something I could really relate to.
Yeah.
Then finds himself, writing the autobiography of the memoirs of the recently retired British Prime Minister.
Who bears no relationship whatever to Tony Blair.
Yes, none at all. Yeah, no, it's quite frighteningly like Tony Blair, as it seems.
And Pierce Brosnan plays him very much like Tony Blair.
Right.
Adam Lang, he's called, isn't he?
Yeah, Adam Lang, yeah.
You know the worst thing about my life? You get so out of touch. Everything's done for you. You don't drive, you don't carry money. If I need cash, I have to borrow it from the protection boys.
This is the kind of details we need in the memoirs.
I couldn't put that in. People would think I was a complete idiot.
No, not at all. No, this shows what it's like being Prime Minister. That's exactly what the readers want to know. How does it feel to run a country? How does it feel to be so cut off? How does it feel to be so hated?
Well, thanks a lot.
And so loved.
When you were making this, were you, had you done the sort of preparation of looking at the way that world operated?
I didn't really know. I mean, my character has the lines. I mean, he says at one point, "I don't read political memoirs. Who does?" Yeah. And I thought, yeah. I mean, I suppose you do because it's part of your job. But I couldn't imagine anything duller in my life than.
Some are good. Some are bad.
Are they? You should give me a list afterwards.
A few.
But so I didn't, and I felt that my character didn't. That what was important, that he wasn't in this world. So suddenly he's in a house. They're stuck on an island off the east coast of the States, and it's freezing and raining all the time, and they're in this, for the reasons of security and privacy, that's where it's decided the book is going to be written and researched. So he finds himself in there, and I wanted him just to be out of his depth, really.
One of the things that just really bowled me over about this whole project is, having watched the film, then to sort of tumble out into the daylight, pick up the papers, and it's all about rendition, it's all about torture. Either you've got the CIA running the publicity for this film, or it's just the most, from your point of view, as filmmakers, the most marvellous coincidence.
Yeah, they were too expensive, the CIA. We approached them, but they were just, the price was too high. I think it is very current, and in many ways, it's maybe not surprising that these things have come out. I mean, the surprising thing might be that it's taken so long for them to come out, and I find it difficult to stomach the fact that Bush isn't having to answer for the decisions that he made. And I just find that unbelievable, that he walked out the back door of the White House into his helicopter and straight to the golf course in Texas, and the soldiers who were killed there are dead, and the civilians who were killed there are dead, and he's playing 18 holes a day. I just find it difficult to stomach. And if you don't know why we were over there, and if you don't know why, and if it's not been explained to us, which it hasn't clearly, why that war, why it was important for us to be involved in that war, then how could you ever do anything with that anger? I don't know where you would put it.
What about the actual experience of working with Polanski on this? Because you've worked with an awesome array of top-flight filmmakers over the years. I mean, you sit here and list them for a long time. But what's the Polanski-ness of a Polanski film? Where's the genius?
I've been very excited to work with lots of the directors I've worked with. I got a chance to work with Woody Allen and Tim Burton, Ridley Scott, Danny Boyle. I've worked with some amazing... I've been very, very lucky. I've worked with some great directors. But somehow when a script comes through with Roman Polanski's name on it, there's your acting ears prick up, and I made it my business to go and watch all of his films. I don't remember having done that particularly before with a director. He's obsessed with the details. And he pushes you really hard, pushes you quite hard as a cast and as a crew. The first day we shot for 22 hours in a stretch, and he's 76 years old, you know, and so none of us have got any right to complain about being tired or anything, because he's still forging ahead, and he just makes you look for the truth of the scene. He makes you look for the reality of it.
You had to make this in Europe, Germany, and so on. Partly because he can't, you know, he couldn't have gone to the States.
Yes.
And he was arrested. I think after you'd finished the filming when all of that happened.
Yeah.
But I just wondered what your feeling is about that, because I mean, it seems to have divided the film world like the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, it was a terrible thing. On the other hand, it was an awful long time ago, and he's paid a lot for it. What did you think?
When he was arrested, I felt very badly for him, because I know him and I really like him, and I don't think I'm a poor judge of character, and I'm very, very fond of him. And so the idea that this very old man was in a prison cell upset me for him and for his children, who I know as well and I'm fond of.
Yes.
And I know that they've had a tough time because they haven't seen much of him. And I was relieved that he was able to finish the film, because on a personal level, I didn't want to be in the only Polanski film that wasn't finished by Polanski, and he has managed to finish it, so I was pleased about that.
Finally, I hadn't really realised you came from Crieff when small town Scotland and Perth and all the rest of it. And I'm just thinking, because you're mentioning Danny Boyle, but that first Trainspotting breakthrough film, which was an astonishing film, but it must have been. I mean, what was the reaction of sort of the people who knew, friends and family? It's not exactly the Scottish Tourist Board's sort of film of choice version of Scotland, is it?
No. I'm sure it did I think it probably did a lot of good for Scotland, don't you? Maybe. Who knows? Because, you know, having growing up in Scotland, it was a big deal to leave Scotland. It's quite, you have to wrench yourself away, and when you do, you feel a bit guilty about it, and you're living. And here I was, a Scottish actor who now lived in London in a Scottish film, saying it was to be Scottish. That was my worrying line. But I did like the sentiments behind it. It was funny. It was a funny piece of dialogue.
It certainly was. Ewan Mcgregor, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ewan Mcgregor.